Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I do a podcast, and I've been doing it for a while, and the show is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode 2097. Hey, I have to tell you, it's almost 2100 episodes. Whoa, woo. How did we get there? I don't know. I'll just bump my head against this microphone, and then I'll flow with my rhyme, and then I stopped because I lost my flow. Uh-oh.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Yes, it's been, I think I took a day off from this show, though. Let's be honest, it's not daily.
Mike's
But you understand.
Daily
We've gone through this
Podcast.
conversation a myriad of times.
Yeah!
And it's good to have you here today. And I'm going to record a little something that's, I've got California on my shirt. Hey, everybody in the YouTube world, mikesdailypodcast.com. I'm starting to rent out this area of my forehead for ads. So you go ahead, you let me know if you would like to advertise on my forehead. It'd be great. If not, I will grow hair. My name is Cy Sperling, and I do not approve this message. I don't know what that meant. Anyway, thank you for listening. I am currently seeking out people that have dogs that would like me to walk them for them, because I know how busy it gets in this world when you're a dog owner and you need to have time for yourself. And Lord knows I need the exercise, and I need the dog companionship, or I will even more as the weeks wear on. As time goes by, yes, I lost Basil the boxer, if you did not know that. I lost him, he passed away a few weeks ago. I talked about that in previous podcasts. And it's sad, but I also know...
And here's today's podcast picture.
That he lived a long, full, wonderful life, and he was happy all the way to the end. And I gave him so many wonderful memories and lots to eat. Oh my gosh, he ate some amazing stuff in his life. And he was loved very much by me and my lovely lady friends. So, anywho, to pay it forward, as it were, to the other dog owners in this world, I'd like to help out in some way. But that's not what today's podcast is about, even though Basil the boxer will disagree and say it should be all about that. Oh yes, okay, Basil. Yes. I know. Oh, what a growl. Oh. Now that was him probably a year ago. No, actually that was late last year. Sadly, by the time, since he had degenerative myelopathy, which is sort of like ALS, it's neurological, they lose more and more, capacity and to be able to do things. And he couldn't growl as much anymore. It was kind of sad. He tried to bark, and it would be a quiet bark. But I'd sometimes substitute a bark in for, because I could see he was trying to bark. I'd go, okay, are you saying woof, woof, woof? He still could kind of do a interesting howl, though. I don't know if I think I recorded something of that in recent weeks. I'll have to look through my stuff. I know I videotaped him now and then over the past couple of months. But dogs, man, they gotta growl. If you ever... that dog barks so much, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but that's part of their thing. That makes them feel like a dog. That makes them, dog's got to have his bark or her bark. So it also is a sign they're trying to tell you something. And usually Basil would bark long enough to let me in on something that I needed to pay attention to. But as they lose their faculties, as they get older, it just becomes tougher to bark. So enjoy the barks is what I'm saying. A lot of people get annoyed by barking, but you know what? It's life. It's their expressing life and expressing themselves. I know, until it keeps you up at 1 a.m. I've been there. And that's why I would like to walk your dog if he's barking too much, because he needs to exercise and to go for a walk. He's got all that pent up energy and he needs to walk. Do we want to talk about coronavirus on Mike's Daily Podcast today? I was thinking about something. Face masks. When everybody's wearing them, there's talk that they might make it a national rule. Here in California, we've been mandatory with the face mask since the beginning. Well, with the face mask, I don't know, actually. That may have been something a little... It's funny, I'm thinking about it now, and I don't think I ever wore a face mask until this year. Ever. Except once, I took a tour of a chocolate factory in Berkeley. It's no longer there. Scharf. Something like that. They made this amazing chocolate, and I had a goatee, and they said, you got to put a mask over that. You got to cover it up, because we don't know where that goatee has been, and you're going to be walking past food stuff. And this is 10, 12, 13 years ago, so I put on the mask. And so this is what I'm asking you, is if you do have a beard, how are you getting by in this time? I mean, you got to get a really big mask to cover the beard. You got to keep the beard short so it can be covered by a mask. Otherwise, your beard is this big collector. It's a big net. It's a COVID net. You're catching all kinds of, not just COVID, but all kinds of things in that beard. Oh, but Mike, I wash it. Oh, but Mike, I put this special, I Clorox it. That doesn't sound good. This is a whole topic and a subject that would just love to be answered on the Mike Matthews Cafe Anyway line at 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily is in what this podcast, as in what this podcast will try to be as close to as possible. I know we get interrupted as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And all right, so I used to live in Alabama for about 2 years, and there was a guy I knew. I worked at a radio station, Cluster. I worked for the country station. This guy who was on the air on a talk station, he's still there. So I think he's been there for like 20 years now. Dale Jackson. And I was listening. I haven't listened to him in a long time, and I listened to his podcast. And he was talking about, at first, about how in radio, people get the axe all the time, which I thought was interesting. The first podcast I listened to him, and he says that because, well, he was there when I got axed from that particular radio cluster. So, ouch. But, the axe swings both ways, as I think he was trying to say on the air. But he also mentioned a very good point, and that is, with all the coronavirus vaccines that are being tested right now, and he asked the question to some people that were in the studio with him, would you get the coronavirus vaccine test? Would you get tested? And both of them, they sounded like millennials. They're like, nuh-uh. They weren't going to do that at all unless they were paid a lot of money. But there was basically no amount they would take. One of them said, if you bought me a house. But Dale said, I would do it because it's basically part of winning this war, is trying to, we got to find a cure. And if nobody gets the vaccine done on them, we're not going to get the answers, and we're not going to get this horrible battle finished with. We're not going to win the war. I thought that was a good point. And then one of them, the millennials, was, what do you call them? A non-vaccinator person, a anti-vaccine person. So, they don't even go get the flu shot. And that's interesting because I know a lot of people that don't get flu shots. And what's going to happen here? They're too afraid to get a flu shot now. And here's like the ultimate flu. And they're not going to get a shot for that, probably. There's going to be these never-vaxxers everywhere. Oh, yeah, that's coming down the road. We're going to achieve this wonderful goal of finally getting a vaccine. And then there's going to be people like, nuh-uh. I'm not going to have that put in my body. it just makes you think, doesn't it? That's where we're going. That's the next interesting situation in all of this. Also, I think I've said this before, but the fact that so many restaurants are just closing doors, man. They're closing up. They are failing because they didn't think of this whole idea of, maybe I don't want to sit in your restaurant. Maybe I like your food, but don't rope me in to sit in your restaurant and have to pay the crazy big tip at the end. Although I still tip even the places that, you pick up the food, because there are people, especially in this day and age, there are people risking their lives making you food. They're yummy, yummy, delicious food, or bagels, as in the case of bagel sandwiches. They're doing such a good job going out there making the delicious, fattening bagel sandwiches for me. Thank you. But at any rate, Cafe Anyway, the thing is, these restaurants that were hoity-toity and annoying and, you're a destination that I want to go to and sit down and maybe have an escape from my life, those are all leaving unless they have adapted into giving you the chance to take the food away, as the British say. It's takeaway. If I can get that food and get the heck out of there, that's the only way these restaurants are surviving, is that they've adapted a takeout model. And I don't see what's wrong with that. I love it. I love the fact that I can go home with that food if it's still good and delicious, the way it tasted when I sat in that restaurant and had to deal with a really bad waiter that took for freaking ever to serve me. Food server, if you prefer. The food server was nowhere to be found for a whole half hour, and I needed something. So I got up, and then he was, and he stared at me and went, "Oh, you're supposed to sit down. I'm supposed to serve you. That's in my name, food server." So I had that on my mind. I think that's pretty much, I've got other things. Let's keep this podcast short today, shall we? We'll spread around the goodness over the next couple of days. But look who's outside a Cafe Anyway right now. Somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth.
Hello, my Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. So you were like in Alabama?
Yeah.
That must have been cool.
It was, yeah. Lots of green grass. Lots of grass. Wow, you got to get used to grass just growing like crazy. And everybody's got a lawnmower. In fact, they don't even have lawnmowers anymore. There are cars that mow the lawn for you. You get in the car, you drive around, mow the lawn as fast as you can, because the thing will be up to the top of your chin in 2 days. It grows so fast. It's crazy.
Wow, Mike Matthews, that's really amazing. I should sell lawnmowers in the gift shop.
Instead of snow globes.
Yeah.
Nah. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere, the engineer. I like lawnmowers. They're very fun to work with. I tinker with them and make it so that they can fly.
Okay, what would be the point of a lawnmower that can fly? Because it's got to be close to the ground. Basically, if you're that close to the ground, you might as well just have wheels. I don't understand why wings have to be introduced into this equation.
Well, you're just not thinking about the big picture, Mike Matthews.
All right, I'll try and think about that. I thought about it, and I can't think about it, so. Maybe in my dreams. That's where you're not limited by your conscience. Your subconscious is conscious. Subconscious consciouses can run free. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Chime in about any of this at 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast will try to continue to be. The podcast picture was from yesterday. I was at Heron Bay, and I haven't been there in about 2 years. And I went with my lovely lady friend. She and I have never gone together. I have not gone because my dog was not able to walk for like the past 6 months, and before that he could only walk if I used a harness to pick up his back legs. Yes, I was that kind of a doggy daddy. Very, very devoted to my dog. And I got really good, strong arms in the process because I was picking up this 85-pound dog. And I tried taking him to the Heron Bay, but it's too long of a walk. It was too much for him. So I haven't been able to go there in about 2 years. So yesterday I had a wonderful day there. We actually took my dog's ashes there. We didn't spread them. You would think, Mike, you're taking your dog's ashes somewhere. You're going to now disperse them. No, he is in a beautiful, wonderful carved wooden box. And it was sort of a nice symbolism. He hadn't been there in a long time, and I brought him there. So you might call that weird, but it felt nice to actually have him there finally after all this time. And it was a beautiful sunset. And there's a cool picture. You can see it at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!